Mr. McGrath.
Mr. Gaunt, back for another episode of Curb and Canyon with a C.
Curb and Canyon with a C. Excited for this one today. Big guest.
I know you are.
Is this our biggest guest?
Well, don't tell Drew, but yeah, probably. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, if Drew listens, he could be offended.
I know that Drew is a big fan of Chris's, so let's just say yes, because Kris is new. We don't want to offend him.
Well, yeah, very excited to get into today's episode. So let's not waste time, huh?
No, let's not do that. But I have to say before we get in, I am slightly embarrassed because in the rush to get this podcast scheduled, I was like telling Kris how to record a podcast and how we typically ask our guests to record a podcast. And then
I was doing the same thing.
And then after sending that email, I'm like, oh wait, okay, no, no.
He's recorded something like 300 and something. Pods.
Yeah. Yeah. We're what, 12?
Yeah, and he's got a professional studio set up. I'm sat on the floor. I'm sat on the floor in my pajama pants and UGG boots on a Saturday morning.
Let's just hope he doesn't bring it up.
Indeed. Welcome to Curb and Canyon. So, James, today we have a very special guest, and I'm going to say straight up that I'm a genuine fan of this dude. I came across him, I think the first time was when I saw a video from Stanceworks titled Rewards of Patience and Camaraderie, which chronicled the story of his hot-rodded 72 911T. And I was lucky enough to stumble across Overcrest, his excellent podcast that he records with Jake Solberg every week, just as they got going, and immediately became a weekly listener. And what's kept me going back to their pod, apart from the great dynamic between those two guys, is, and following Kris as well, is this never-ending search for adventure via the automobile, and most notably his 911. And you and I, James, have both been through the process of planning rallies and the excitement and the pressure that comes with linking roads you've never driven. But our guest today goes down the rabbit hole in a way that you and I just can't even consider. He's inspiring, he's outspoken, he buys way too many cars, and I think he's bloody ace. It's Mr. Kris Clewell.
I think you've been talking to my bride there with the too many cars. I think it's just the right amount. It's just the right amount, which is all the time, every car. I'm on Marketplace all the time. It's just the right amount.
Do you keep track?
I can live with that.
How many are we up to?
It's got to be every time I try to make a list, I go back and go, oh man, I forgot that on the list. It's been a lot of cars, a lot, like tons of Mark I Volkswagens, everything from Yugos, E30 Tourings, AMG stuff, Mercedes, mostly European, I guess. I haven't done too much with the domestic world or in the import world from Japan and Korea and stuff like that. But I kind of don't know. Probably, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 75 cars, maybe 100. I know that's a terrible guess, and the breadth of that guess is ridiculous, but I honestly have no idea.
And wait, that's in your lifetime. I mean, how many do you hold on to at any one particular point in time?
That varies. I kind of have a rule that I've never really kind of reached the limit of what I think a person should own. But if you have 5 cars, so you have one daily, and then you have probably 3 or 4 projects or fun cars. I think that's the most amount of cars anyone should own. But I mean, currently I have. Do we count things that are like in the yard?
Sure.
Like
I've got this vision of this field in northern Minnesota with a small shack on the side of it and just hundreds of old German cars rusting away.
Well, I've only got one. There's only one in the field right now. I've started being the car in the field guy as of this last month. So I have a old Mercedes there. I have another old, I have a Mercedes 250 that I just swapped an engine into. That's going to be the Overcrest Rally kind of mascot, if you would. Then I have a W123 300 touring, I guess that is a touring, I don't know what you call the Mercedes. It's a touring TD, 300 TD. And I bought that in Idaho to scout the rally, the Overcrest rally. I bought it sight unseen. And then I have my 72 911, which is moored in California right now with probably a thrown crank bearing. I think it threw the crank bearing.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
And then I have, yeah. And then I have I have a 91 Isuzu Trooper. That's what I drove here today to the studio.
No way.
And yep, so I've got that. It's super mint. The air conditioning works. Every time I pull up to one of my buddies' places, they're like, it works on the wagon too. They always go, "Oh, dude, you're leaking." And I'm like, "Yeah, water, because my air conditioning works." No one ever expects the air conditioning to work on some old shitbox thing. But that's the Trooper, and I've got a TDI from like a 2001 Jetta or something that I put a big turbo on, and my buddy Alex Nelson, who's just a brilliant engineer, built a adapter plate. We 3D scanned everything in, the motor, the transmissions, everything, and built an adapter plate to put the TDI motor in the Trooper with a big turbo on it. But that project is kind of sidelined because of the Porsche and the Mercedes stuff. So I have, I guess, 4 cars, and then when one of them runs, I drive one, and my wife has I bought her a Golf R. So she's got a 2019 Golf R that she drives.
Okay, so a reliable family truckster.
Yes. Yeah, that's and I think she's upset about it because she had an All-Track before that, Volkswagen All-Track, and she loved it. And I said, this thing sucks. It's no fun. Let's trade it in while the used car prices are inflated to all hell. And we traded in, and I got her a brand new Golf R. And I think it's too small. I don't think she likes it, but it's super fast, and I think she's fine with that. And it's a cool car, and you can be the babe in the kind of a cool car. So I think she kind of likes that, but I still don't think she's too pleased.
That sounds like the sales pitch you gave her. You can be the babe in the cool car.
Yeah. Oh, you look hot in this thing. This is great.
I usually go with things like, Dale, it would be irresponsible to drive anything other than this car. I mean, the safety features. Let's get into those. This is about protecting the family.
It does have front assist with the brakes. I should bring that up more often.
Yeah.
Which is beeping at me all the time. Apply brakes. Just because someone won't get out of my way.
Yeah,
the thing's just
that's
like
a terrible
freaking out
feature.
all the time.
Actually, I don't like that feature. I turn that off on my cars.
I want to go back to the point you just said that you have 3 or 4 or even potentially 5 project cars at any one point in time. Is there a strategy behind that, or is that just kind of screaming ADHD? I've got one project car, and I can't wait for it to be really finished, and then I'll move on to another one.
You never finish,
Is
James.
ADHD a strategy?
It could be.
Could that actually be a strategy?
Maybe.
I have no idea. I think the Mercedes and the truck are kind of projects, but the truck runs. So it's a running, driving truck. Nothing's wrong with it. It's all good to go. So it's kind of, on the back burner. I can drive it and use it, and I'm building the motor on the side when parts come in. So you wait for parts, and when they come in, you do what you can. And while you're doing things, you order parts for the other thing. And you can kind of, for me as one guy, I can kind of handle 2 things at the same time. The same time, I think. I wouldn't consider the 911 a project car because it's kind of an accident. I didn't blow up the motor on purpose.
Yeah.
It's just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And the wagon. The only thing that's wrong with that is you have to bang on the starter with a hammer to get it to start. Otherwise, that thing's good. So that's not really a project car either. That's going to be my winter car. I'm going to drive that over the winter.
Oh, good luck in the sub-zero temperatures.
So I'll just work around your question by redefining everything as not a project. That's what we'll do.
It's going to be great taking the wife out for dinner in that car, and when you get back from a nice meal, a couple of glasses of red, having to, hang on, honey, I'm just going to pull out the hammer to start the car.
I told her she had to drive, and I said, hey, you should take the wagon. It's great. The hammer for the starter is in the engine compartment if it doesn't start. And she just looked at me like I was insane. But she would do it. She's like, I've sent her to the junkyard for me before. She's pulled wiring harnesses out of cars at the junkyard for me. She helps me clean the garage. She'll push cars in and out. She'll wrench on things, hold the wrench, just like my daughters are learning how to do. But I mean, everybody's kind of in the garage. She doesn't do it as much as she used to now that she's a mom and has her own business and stuff like that. But she used to be all in the garage with me. So she's not, I kind of like to pick her on her a little bit, but she's definitely a hero of mine in terms of championing the projects and Overcrest and the ideas that I have. And she's amazing in that way. She's never one to say no with a car. You know, she would get in the wagon and bang on it with a hammer to get it to start. She would do that. You know, she'd rather drive her Golf R, which is brand new, but she would do the other thing if she had to. It wouldn't bother her that much, I don't think.
My wife wouldn't do that. I think if somebody could just like come over and fill it up with gas for her, she'd be happy. But she doesn't want to wrench on the cars. She just wants a reliable car. In fact, one of the first things she told me was, if we end up together, you've just got to promise me that I have a new car. I don't care what it is, as long as it's new. She grew up with her dad wrenching on cars. And in her last 2 years of high school, she had an old green Jetta, a VW, I guess, and every time she turned left, the horn went off continuously. So you can imagine her pulling up to school, and every time she did a left turn, it was honk. There's Ruthie.
Here I am. I'm here. I think people look at cars. You know, the people that want a new car, they look at things. This is going to sound weird, but they look at it as a car being broken is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Right? That sounds weird, right? You look at like a car being broken is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And it can be if it keeps you from getting where you need to go. But it can also be the start of bettering your knowledge about something, whether you're learning how to fix it or spending time with your buddies and fixing it. It can be a catalyst for many, many good things. Yeah. You know, it's not like your refrigerator is broken, right? You're not going to call up your buddy and be like, "Hey, man, the compressor's out on the refrigerator. You want to come have a couple beers? We'll get it figured out." It just doesn't have the same ring as, "Hey, man, I'm sick of banging on the starter on the Mercedes. Let's come get wasted while we fix the starter on the Mercedes." It just does. It's like it has two different feels to it. And cars are kind of like this great catalyst for a lot of different things. And I don't know if that's just because of the tool that it is and what it allows you to do, which is explore and learn and stuff like that. Nobody sees the knowledge of knowing how to fix a refrigerator as useful, but being able to fix a car, on the other hand, is usually seen as pretty good knowledge to have. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but a car being broken isn't always a bad thing, I don't think.
Does that?
And people see that it is, and they shouldn't.
Does that you've obviously spent a lot of time in the garage wrenching on cars. Is that why you've got the confidence to, as you say, go to Idaho, buy an old car sight unseen and decide to drive it back through blizzards and God knows what else, because you've got enough confidence that, yeah, if something goes wrong, I'll be able to figure it out along the way and not be thinking, holy shit, I'm going to be stranded on the side of the road in sub-zero temperatures being attacked by bears.
So this is America, right? You know, this is, even if you're, I mean, there's a lot of places you could be in Australia where you could be totally fucked. Like just, you're dead, right? If you're out driving across Australia. But this is America. Anywhere you are in this country, if you break down, you are not going to die. You're not. You could walk somewhere. You could walk down the road. You could, I mean, it's,
have you seen the Western United States? What?
I've driven ad nauseum in the Western United States. There are people everywhere here. There's people everywhere. If you have I always keep a gallon of water in my car. That's one thing. If you don't know how to work on cars, you don't know what you're doing, but you're going on a trip, bring some water, because that's all you need to survive. That's it. And you can go anywhere you want in this country. I got stuck in the snow in Idaho on a forest road, as far from anything as you could possibly be, and we're stuck in the snow. We're stuck. And we're thinking, what are we going to do? But we had a bike on a bike rack that was kind of our fallback, as if something happened. We would be able to pull the bike off the bike rack and then bike to civilization. And anywhere you are, you could do that. You know, it's not that scary. It's not the end of the world. And generally, if you have some basic tools, if you want to take the next step up, you could make it work. You could fix something simple. And even if you can't fix it, you can just call AAA and a tow truck will show up and tow it to a shop. What's the worst that's going to happen? This isn't, you know, nobody is going to die on the side of the road in the United States. It's a very easy place to start exploring with your car. You see, it just is.
It's all relative, Chris, because, you know, I appreciate that Australia is vast and enormous, but coming from England, where you can barely turn around without bumping into somebody, that coming into America, oh my God, there have been times I've driven like around the West and like if I do stop here, I might as well just dig my own hole. I'm not going to get found.
No, there's somebody would have driven by. I mean, it's going to take you at least, if you have some water, it's going to be weeks before you're dead.
Let me tell you this though, having heard what you've just said, it kind of makes me, Andy, rethink our plan about doing a road trip from Melbourne over to Perth, Australia, because if Kris is worried about the open spaces in Australia and he's not worried about the open spaces here in the States,
because Kris, you may not remember this, but I bumped into you at Luft and you suggested to me there shipping your air-cooled 911 across to Australia and driving the breadth of this great country in your air-cooled 911.
I would do it. I want to do it. I really do. I interviewed Elspeth Beard, who, she drove her motorcycle around the world, and she went across Australia as a 20-year-old girl or woman, and all she had with her was whatever was in her saddlebags of her motorcycle.
Wow.
And even there, her entire wiring harness of her motorbike burnt to the ground in the middle of Australia, and she was able to figure it out.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm even being a little bit, facetious when I say that you could die. If you're on a road that goes from X to Y and you have some water, the odds are that you are not the only person that wants to go to X or Y. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get murdered or, you're going to get picked up by a serial killer and get chopped into little pieces. That's a whole nother story.
Because this is America.
The odds of that are pretty. That's America. Yeah, that's.
It sounds like a Netflix special. I can see it now. Did you? Because you've become sort of the unofficial, official ambassador of Take the Car, right? Of adventuring in cars. Is this?
What a curse.
Well, right, but it is. It's become your thing. Did you set out?
Which
did you
means
set
I
out
can't
to do
ship
that?
my car anywhere. Even if I want to, I can't ship the car somewhere.
No, you have to drive it to Australia.
The damn thing now. Yeah, so if I need to save time. From time to time, I got a life, I got kids, I got a family. I would like to ship my car somewhere, but I can't. I gotta drive the thing. I've really hamstrung myself.
But I don't assume that was a deliberate strategic move. I imagine that from your perspective, this is just the way you like to do it, the way you've always done it. And that's sort of organically become part of the Kris, the Overcrest brand, I suppose.
Yeah, it's the Take the Car thing came from, I wrote an article about taking the car for 000 magazine.
Yep.
And it was a 50-page, 13,000 or 15,000 word opus on my journey in my 911 across the United States and back. And the name of the article was Take the Car. Okay. And it was something that I kind of was like, hey, that really fits, and I didn't really change what I did, but I kind of applied that name to, or that hashtag or whatever you want to call it, that feeling to what we were already doing here at Overcrest. And then my buddy Jeff Bull, who is the other part of Overcrest. There's me, Jake, and Jeff. And Jeff helps out with the rally and the branding and the strategy and stuff like that. And he started to kind of go, hey, what you're doing is interesting, and what you're doing is unique. And I never really thought of it that way. I was just like, I just want to do this. I'm really happy when I do this. I can defrag my mind. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy exploring and seeing new things for a myriad of different reasons of what they do for me mentally and emotionally. He's like, yeah, but we could maybe share this with people. So that's kind of how things have, begun snowballing a little bit in terms of what Overcrest is doing. But me, for me, going out and scouting the rally, I flew out, bought that Mercedes, drove 2,000 miles around Idaho and forest roads and beat the hell out of the car, and then drove another 1,000 miles home. And that was just like, okay, that was awesome. It feels special to me because I enjoy doing it, but it didn't feel like I was doing something out of my comfort zone. It's just, it's just what I like to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned Jake there. I want to talk about the dynamic between you two, because there's always a dynamic, right, between radio hosts or podcast hosts, and there's typically that, hey, we take the piss out of each other, we're mates, that's how it works. You and you and Jake seem to have this.
It's easy
awesome
when you
dynamic.
look down on somebody all the time. It's very easy to,
Well, you strike this really good balance, I think, between being on the same page together, but also having very different views about things, which makes sometimes for pretty fiery conversation. It's just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think I got lucky. It's
Well, that makes one of us.
And I think Jake. Yeah, I think Jake and I got lucky with the dynamic. When I started Overcrest, I did 2 episodes with 2 different buddies. And the plan was I'm going to have a different person host this with me every time, because I didn't really understand what podcasting was like. Just like everyone else that starts a podcast, hey, this is great. This is so fun. And then they get to episode like 12 and they go, holy shit, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to do? What's the plan? I have no idea what's going on. Starting a podcast is very easy. You can buy the stuff. You can start doing it. Doing it for 350 plus episodes like we have has been really, really hard. But so I realized that after episode 2, I go, wait a second. What I just did, how am I going to do that long term? How am I going to have a different person on every time? Yeah. Now you can do interviews and stuff like that, but that's not really the format I wanted to do. I wanted to do like a banter. I wanted to have news and stuff like that. So then I thought of this dude, Jake, who I did not know very well. Right. I was barely an acquaintance with Jake when I met Jake. The way that I met Jake was there was a car club that I ran called Euroworks back in the day. And it was a car show. It was a car club born out of spite for this other car club. And I decided I wanted to just like dominate that car club and make them go away. We did. And we had this show called, Euroworks Car Show or whatever. And I'm scared of heights. I don't like them. I don't like climbing up ladders. Just not my thing. I mean, I'm not like shaking in my booties or anything, but I don't like it. And we had to hang signs on these light poles. And I just remember being like, hey, can anyone help me with this? And Jake's like, I'll do it. He was a volunteer or whatever. And so he climbs up on this ladder in his Birkenstocks and stands and screws these things to the sign. And I remember him just being like really outgoing and fun and easy to talk to. And I enjoyed his company. And he had a kind of like this cool voice too. I'm like, man, he's got kind of like a voice made for radio. He sounds like Troy McClure from The Simpsons, if you've ever watched The Simpsons. And like I had him on and it was fun. And I'm like, wow, this is really fun. And his style is completely different than mine in terms of similar in the way that we both like to wear pants, but the pants that he would choose to wear are completely different than pants that I would choose to wear. So we both kind of like this same similar type of things. Like we both like old 911s. Well, he didn't have one at the time, but we both like old cars, old European cars. We like working on things. We like wrenching, but he's a lot different in his taste than I am. Like he will do things that I completely disagree with, like cover his car with like Renline stuff with holes in it. And he'll take his Cayenne and roll it through the parts store and put lights on it and wheels and roof racks and stuff that I know that he's never, ever, 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 ever going to use. But we still kind of bond over the commonality of it. So it's been kind of this interesting journey as we've kind of molded each other's taste probably in ways that we don't even really know. We've probably impacted each other in ways that we're unsure of. And it was really hard after probably 50 to 75 episodes. We were both kind of going like, what are we doing? Are we going to keep doing this? And I was telling Jake, I'm like, Jake, this is going to be awesome. Let's keep doing this. And I think it took probably maybe 150 to 175 episodes before we were like, yeah, we love this. We come down here, we record, and I can honestly tell you, every time I leave this place and we have a great interview or we do a great recording, I love it. It makes me really happy. I'm happy with what we put out there. And Jake does these amazing history stories that he does and digs things up, and we do the interviews. And I wish we did more of the news. We used to do a lot more news. I miss doing that. But yeah, that's kind of how I met Jake and how that relationship kind of started.
Amazing. So, Kris, you talked about the myriad cars that you've owned and currently do own before, everything from Mercs to the Yugo, as you say. But we're somewhat Porsche-centric on this show, obviously. Tell us about where Porsche sits for you and seemingly your 911 holds a different position in your heart compared with these other cars that you're able to move on so quickly.
Yeah, it's something that's been around for almost 10 years now. And as much as the other cars come and they go and they come and they go, the 911 has really been the ultimate tool of exploration for me. It does everything right. I enjoy working on it. And, I've done so many things with it that it's become kind of this nostalgic thing for me. When I look back, I can see the things that I've accomplished with it. And I think some of the Porsche stuff is the natural evolution for Volkswagen guys. Yep. You start working your way up, and you work your way into like either you start getting into air-cooled Beetles, or you start getting yourself into air-cooled 911s or maybe 944s or something like that. It's all in the same family. But the 911, I think, is really, really good for what I don't consider myself a Porsche guy. I consider myself an adventure exploration with the car kind of guy, and my 911 is the best tool for that.
Okay.
And it's so the everybody's like, "Oh, you're a Porsche guy, right?" And I'm like, "Well, no. I mean, yes, because I have one and I've, done all the work myself and I love it and I love the community and I think it's great. But if there was a different car that I had found that was better for it, I would be that kind of guy. It just happened to work out this way that it ended up being this 911.
So, but surely a 2019 Subaru Forester is a better tool than a 72 911 for this.
I would disagree, only because of the ability to Subaru Forester would be a great car for exploring it for sure, especially if you had a family and didn't want to break a nail or something if it broke down. But the 911 in its simplicity, the only reason my 911 broke is because an oil line fell off.
Yeah,
it's stupid. It's a horrible thing. If not, that thing would still be driving. They're dead reliable. They have very little systems to brake. They're oil cooled or air cooled rather. Everything's oil cooled, but it's an air cooled car. There's no coolant. I don't have a turbo system. I've got carburetors. It's very, very easy to diagnose and fix, and you have very little systems to fail. And rear engine can get you out of, some sticky situations where you might have gotten stuck, anything like that. They're great on gravel, which I really enjoy driving on. And just the, manual brakes, manual steering, no power anything, lightweight, plenty of storage to put your stuff in it. So I would say that it's actually a better car just because of the simplicity, and the odds of it breaking down are far less than a new Subaru. I can fix most of that car unless something fails, like an oil line falls off. You can fix most of the stuff on the fly, whether it's, you can fix a wire or replace an axle or whatever on the road. You could do most of it, which is one of the reasons why they were so ridiculously successful in endurance racing. Is because they really are a very well-built engine that just doesn't break down.
What's an adventure to you then? If you're the adventure guy, is it landscape? Is it just going places you've never been before? Is it trying to hit every Burger King in every state before you die? What's your definition of that kind of adventure?
To me, an adventure is experiencing something new. Everybody kind of looks at oh, you drive a 911. I bet you go find all the curvy roads. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, that obviously you want if you think of an iconic adventure, there's all these different things that you could plug in, to make it the best that it could be. But for me, as long as I'm experiencing something new, that's an adventure to me. I try to put myself in situations that are going to create interesting experiences for me that will stimulate me and cause me to experience something different, whether that's meeting people or I saw a guy on the side of the road in West Virginia sitting in front of his garage, and he was just sitting there, and he had more beer cans crushed on the ground than I've ever seen in my life. Stop the car, turn around, pull over. Who is this guy? Never got his name, but I talked to him for 2 hours, and that is just as much adventure as driving up some switchback road somewhere. So it's all about experiencing new things, getting off the freeway, and nothing allows you to see more in a condensed period of time than a car. Nothing. I mean, you can go for a walk, but you can walk a few miles. In a car, you can see a massive amount of stuff. Independently, you can go where you want, when you want, how you want, as long as you're on a road, and they're everywhere, so it's pretty easy. You can do all these different things in a car, and nothing is better for it than that. So you can experience all these different things and have whatever level of adventure you want to have, and the car is just the best thing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, going back to that Forester versus 911 proposition, that part of the reason the 911 is such a great tool for that is that it doesn't feel as though it's simply an appliance that separates you from that experience, but it's actually a part of the experience. The sound, all of those other things actually add to the experience.
I don't know. Maybe. Obviously, you think of like my car's fast. It's got a lot of horsepower. But then, I know this guy, Harry Hoffman, who has a 912, and I've probably got 200 more horsepower than he has. And he's still having a great time adventuring around in that. And it doesn't sound anywhere near as good as my 911 does. It sounds like a 912, which sounds cool. But I think there's got to be some glimmer in the car for it to be something that you enjoy exploring in. There's got to be some glimmer in it. And whatever that is for you, the guy in the 2019 Forester, he might have a glimmer in that car for him.
Yeah, true.
There might be something about that car. I see people, I talk to them all the time where I really love my 2004 Honda Civic. I love that car. I was really sad when I got rid of that car. What was it about that car that made that person sad when they got rid of it? They don't sound good. They are not fast. There's a million of them. They look like every single other one. It's basically the Wonder Bread of cars. There's really nothing to it. So what is it about that car? What was the glimmer or the gravitas that car had that made that person feel that way? So as long as the car has that for you, then it's just as good as my 911 is for me. It's just you have to. I'm not saying that every guy should get as much gumption out of his Honda Civic that's stock driving around, going and get groceries and stuff like that.
No, I
but
get it.
I'm just saying that the potential is there in almost any car to become emotionally attached to the car in the adventures and the exploration that you have.
It's good philosophy.
That said, my 911 rules. It sounds fucking awesome. It's super fast. It looks great. I did all the work myself. I'm super proud of that. And all of that stuff adds up to a really emotional experience and gives me great contrast to the other cars that I may daily drive. Like the Golf R that I have is a great car, but I have zero emotional attachment to that car whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that might be because of the breadth of experience and contrast I have in the experiences I've had in other cars is why I don't care about that car.
Yeah, understood.
So it's all about your experience and the contrast that you've created for yourself.
I get it. Let's shift gears a little bit. Photography is something you talk about a lot. You're an insanely good photographer. Can you tell us a little bit about, I suppose, your history in that space and what it is you still love about that creative process?
I don't necessarily like photography as much as I used to. I kind of started out doing photography. My grandpa had a little generic, not even a Canon camera. Not a Minolta, not a Canon, no Nikon, nothing. It was just this little aluminum camera that looked like it was expensive, but it certainly was not. And I would take pictures when we would go on vacation. And I just remember seeing them later and I don't know what it was about seeing them later, but I saw the thing that happened before, I was seeing it again. Mm. And there was something about that experience that made it special for me. And as it became work, it became a little bit less special, as lots of things do when you do things for work, right? All of a sudden, you kind of wring the passion out of it a little bit. But one thing I really do enjoy doing now is shooting film.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the chemical process of film. I like that the physical photons of light that are existing in the world are being frozen in a physical form on the film in a chemical reaction. So it is actually what I'm like as I'm seeing this Zoom meeting right now. If I took a picture of this, it is this exact moment physically, not just like ones and zeros, but on film, it is physically captured on a medium. It's right there. It's physically there. That is the moment. It's not a facsimile of it. It's not a copy of it. It's it in a chemical reaction form. And I think that's really, really unique. It's really special. And, doing that with film just feels a lot better than doing it digitally. And don't get me wrong, I guess I shouldn't say that I don't like photography anymore. I do love photography, but I've really got to be doing something. I really got to care about what I'm doing. Back in the day, I would shoot cars for magazines and stuff like this, or shoot cars for like RM Sotheby's, and they'll be like, "Hey, go take pictures of this Studebaker," and I'd be like, "Man, how do I give a shit about this?" It's not. And writing is the same way. I don't really. I've struggled with this. I remember an editor of a magazine called me up and says, "Hey, do you want to write this article about this car and shoot the articles for this car?" And I went out and I drove all the way out to Road America. I took pictures of this car. It's a really significant race car. It was a really, really significant car. It's worth zillions of dollars. And I got home and I look at the pictures and they're great. And then I interviewed a guy and I interviewed another guy, and it just ended up being kind of like these rich dudes that own this car.
Yeah.
And I could not write the article for it. I couldn't do it. Could do it. I could not. I could not extract meaning to write the article out of what I had. I could write an article about the experience of driving out there and driving that car and seeing that car and what it was like, and I could write a great article about that. But just like the writing like a historical piece of a car that's owned by rich dudes and taking pictures of it and stuff like, it just doesn't interest me anymore. It's just kind of like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like I'm impacting anyone, like I'm changing anything, like I'm causing anyone to do something, which is why Overcrest has become so addictive. Is, I'll get DMs that are like, "Hey man, I really love what you do. I hadn't talked to my dad in 15 years. I bought a car and we went on a road trip and we fixed our relationship." And how am I ever going to get that out of writing about some old race car that's only important because of the period of time that it was driven in? I don't care. I just don't. It doesn't matter. Like I look at my 911. For me, is behind me you see the Hawaiian Tropic 935. For me, my car is a more significant car than that one.
Yep.
Just for me personally, and it's for what it's able to do, and what it's inspired other people to do. And I know that sounds vain and arrogant, but for some reason, just like the historical race car thing just doesn't do that much for me.
No. Well, it's hard to connect to that, isn't it? Most of us don't experience that on a daily basis or even ever. And yet the idea of, hey, do you know what? I can just jump in my car. I can do it today if I want and drive somewhere. Everyone can relate to that. And as you say, whether you have a Civic or an old 911 or something in between, you can have your version of that experience. And I think that's probably why people connect with what you do.
Yeah, you can have, like, there's something alluring about knowing that in a 935, my car's in there somewhere.
Yeah. Like
that DNA, it's kind of like, you could look at your car, maybe if you squint a little bit or like rub Vaseline in your eyes, your car could look similar to that. And I love talking to the race car drivers about their experiences.
Yeah.
But usually they're experiences that I love hearing about. It's not about, hey, I race, because these cars, when they were raced way back in the day, they were just a fucking car, right? This was a car that was a factory body car that they put a motor in. It didn't mean anything at all beyond being the tool to win the race. It only became an emotional, valuable, pretty beautiful thing later. Yeah. So I really like hearing about the stories from the guys that used to drive them, because they never talk about the car.
Nah.
They always talk about the driving and the people and the tracks and the experiences that they have. They're never just like, yeah, man, I remember driving this car. And if you ask, they'll tell you, what was it like to drive a 935? They'll be like, yeah, it was like squeezing a tube of toothpaste as hard as you can. The power just would shoot out of it. It's cool to hear that stuff, but they didn't become special until much, much later, because of the era that they represented. And even then, it's not necessarily about the car. It's about the period of time in which they existed that the cars represent. That's important. I don't know. It's just kind of this weird thing that I'm starting to care less and less about, these cars with pedigree and value and heritage and all this other stuff, and caring more about just this dude. Like, I saw this guy the other day. I was at the grocery store and I pull up and there's this 951 sitting in the parking lot. And I'm like, wow, that thing is beat. I mean, the thing was beat down. They usually have like bumper overriders on them. They had fallen off. One was held on by a coat hanger on the other side. It was super rusty. And I'm kind of like looking through the sunroof to see how many miles are on it. It's like 500,000 miles. I'm like, holy shit. It turns out it only had like 300,000 miles. The guy's like, yeah, only 300,000 miles. And I took pictures of that car with my phone, and I wished I had my camera, and I talked to the guy for like 15 minutes, and he was super cool. And I like hearing about how he drove the car for 20 years and 300,000 miles. That really got me going.
Yeah. Just
as much as hearing about like some car that won the mall like 6 times. And I'm just even more so maybe.
Yeah. Unreal. So you got your rally coming up. Both James and I, we've done this, obviously not to the level that you have, but we know about that experience of, when you're crafting it, designing it, wanting to create the best experience for the people who are going to attend. Do you feel a level of pressure / responsibility around that, or is it, look, guys, this is what it's going to be. I'm going to be really open and transparent with you about it, and just come along. It's just as much about the people as the roads, as the cars, as the driving.
I guess it's kind of like you can make, if you're going to make a cheeseburger for somebody, you can make a regular cheeseburger. You can cook it up in the microwave and you could give it to them. Or you can do the best thing you can, which is get all the right ingredients together and then have a bunch of people eat the cheeseburgers together. And then they're all having a great experience, and they all came there because of the great cheeseburger, but that's not necessarily what they remember. If that makes any, that was a terrible analogy. I should.
So this goes back to James's. So you do want to drive across. You do want to eat at every Burger King in the country. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. No, the point is that I like what I stress out big time.
Yeah.
Okay. I stress out big time because this all matters to me so much. Giving people the opportunity to have an experience, because the experience that I have when I go and scout the rally and the adventure that I have and the fresh experiences that I have, I know how much driving and exploring means to me. And I know that it impacts me in such a way. And the way that I think about it is that as we get older, everybody says time goes faster the older that we get. And we continue to, regress into tradition and routine. And that makes life go by really, really fast because your brain doesn't have to process as much information. You do the same thing in the morning. Your brain has it very easy. It's like having a high horsepower car and just picking up groceries in it. It doesn't need to work very hard. It doesn't really need to do anything. And your brain is the same way. So then, of course, that moment basically gets deleted and it's gone. And it feels like it never happened. And it goes by really fast. And that's why, as we get older, I think that time starts to speed up. Not only because the percentage of your life remaining is a lot less than the percentage of your life that you've already experienced, but because you're having so many of the same experiences over and over and over and over and over again, that everything starts to kind of blend together and blur. And I think going out and having new experiences and exploring, and I always say it doesn't have to be cars. Whatever exploring means to you, you need to be experiencing new things. So getting people out to experience something new causes their brain to go, whoa, what the hell is this? I better check this out. And their brain starts analyzing things, and you can be overloaded. I don't know if you've ever been to a place where you stop and you go, holy shit, and you get these goosebumps and you start taking everything in. All of a sudden you start seeing things, and you stop and you start listening and you start seeing, and all of a sudden all your senses are operating, and you can feel the breeze on the hair on your arms, and you can see the colors in the trees. And these are things that you never, when you're driving around your neighborhood, you don't look at anything. You don't look at the color of the houses. You don't look at the trees. You don't look at the road. You don't do anything. You're probably in your own little world driving to and fro. And then, like I said, that moment just gets deleted. When you're out there experiencing something new, it all slows down. So that's how I feel about it for me. So when I put this together, I don't put this together because I want everybody to go drive great roads. Okay. This is a big scam to get everybody to go experience something new. Right. And the roads and everything else are just kind of this conduit, which we all have this commonality that we're going to use this to get people to experience X. And I feel a lot of pressure to give other people the petri dish in which they can experience the feelings that I get when I'm out there. Whether they do or not, I don't know. I've heard some good things, and I just that's what I want. Is I want people to have those experiences. And once you start to get it, you can't stop doing it, because once you know what that feeling is like, whether you come on another Overcrest rally or you find some other form of exploration, once that clicks and you hear that pure piano note, ringing in your ears of exploration, you'll never stop. And if I can get a few people to do that and make their life better, that's really what it's all about. That's what the Overcrest rally is all about. The cars, the roads, everything. I love all that stuff. That's where I get my exploration kicks. And bringing other people to do the same thing and experience stuff, that's what it's all about for me. So yes, I stress out big time, because if they don't have that and they don't get the feelings and it'd be like going on a roller coaster and getting off and be like, I didn't even get that feeling in my stomach. The one that you get when you go over a thing and you feel like you're falling a little. I didn't even get that. And if people didn't get that on the rally, I'd feel really bad. So yeah, I stress out a lot and I try really fucking hard.
That is I think that's the clearest distillation I've ever heard of why we do this and why we organize these things. And yeah, it's yeah, you did it beautiful. It was like a TED talk there, Kris. Thank you.
Well, if you think that was a clear distillation,
it
seemed pretty verbose to me. I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, how do I boil this down?
It's the passion, Kris. It's the passion.
Well, so your next rally's coming up in September, isn't it? The 9th and the 10th, I think, or something.
Yeah,
like
September 8th, 9th, and 10th in Idaho. Yep.
Okay, in Idaho,
a place that I'd never been to before, and I told everybody, "Hey, we're going to Idaho," and I had never explored Idaho, but I thought for sure there's got to be some pretty good shit there, so I felt extra stress to go out there and scout it. And after I told everybody where it was, yeah,
I've never been, and that would be fascinating. But is there still
it's an
time?
Incredible place.
Is there still time for people to get involved?
No, the application process is all done. You can't get in. There's no space. We had to turn away about 80% of the people that applied. It was absolutely heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking to look at, because when we do the rally, we have what's your name, what's your car, where are you from, but we also have why do you want to come?
Yeah.
Why do you want to come on the rally? And there were some really great essays that were written, but there was a lot of great essays. And it just was, some of the essays were terrible. Like, sounds like it would be fun. Well, yeah, of course it would be fun. Tell me why you want to come. And we'd get some where it was like, these really emotional, exploration means everything to me. I get it. I'm a big fan of Overcrest, your ethos, I'm with you, and you get those and you're like, yeah, let's bring that guy. But you turn away some people that you don't want to, and it's just heartbreaking. So we're probably going to start doing some more events.
Yeah. So
that we can be more inclusive, because the more people that I can expose to this, the better.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that you got people writing essays. My buddy Rocco and I, when we organise our rallies, we've got a cap. We've got 20 people max. And there's always this little cohort of people sort of circling around who want to get in on that. Maybe essays is the way forward.
Yeah, make them work for it. Yeah,
even with my closest
There's no word
buddies.
count minimum or anything like that.
Oh no, I'd put a minimum. 500 words minimum. Come on,
250 words minimum. Double spaced.
Yeah, 100%.
Better use your spell check.
I want people going at all lengths, like maybe they'll make a video, someone will do something a little bit different, maybe pull together a poster. What can you bring to the rally besides friendship and good times?
Good looks.
So Kris, we've taken plenty of time. I just want to touch on one last thing if I can. 9/11. Where are we at? What's happening?
I have no idea.
In my little WhatsApp group, there was heartbreak when that video dropped of you on that street somewhere in LA, like pushing it up the hill, and that dude comes and helps you. It's like, and how excited you were at the start of that video versus how despondent you are by halfway through.
Even now, I feel emotional about it. It's weird to be emotional about. Well, maybe it isn't about an inanimate object, but it's an oil line failed, just fell off. I don't know how that happened. I drove it 3,000 miles with no trouble, and then you get back in it when I get out there, and Boom, done. So it's at a shop right now, and he's busy. Everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Everybody's slammed. All the machine shops are slammed. So it's just kind of, I was told maybe August they'd get to it. So I'm hoping maybe I could drive it home this fall, fly out there with my daughter, and I owe her a road trip. I took my other daughter out in the '73 Pinto Squire wagon. Did a road trip in that thing, which was not regrettable but slow. And I owe my other daughter a road trip, so we're going to take her in the 911 and drive it back.
Amazing.
Unless it's like not done till December, because that's one thing I don't do is drive that car in the salt. It's just not good.
Yeah,
just not a good look driving that thing in the salt. So then, if that's the case, we might have to wait. But I'm hoping fall. We'll see. I don't know. It depends on what it needs when we crack it open. It's hopefully it just needs a crank, which sounds super expensive, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I
We'll see.
really hope so, mate. I hope it's not as catastrophic as perhaps it seemed, and that you get to live out that goal of flying out there with your daughter and road tripping it back. It'd be a good way to bring it back to life, I imagine.
It would, and it would be a good way to get in touch with the car again, because right now, I can truly say that I don't care. I don't care. It's been gone so long. It's been gone since January. I've got this other shit that I'm doing.
Yep.
I don't care. It's sad. It's sad, but like, it's absence does not make the heart grow fonder. I'm sure getting back in the car again and seeing it again, flying out there and getting it and getting in and touching it and feeling it and hearing it and smelling it will rekindle all of the passion that I have. I have no question about that. But in terms of right now, I'm just like, whatever.
So what you're saying is now is the best time to make an offer and see if I can get it off.
I've had a lot of offers on that car. I've said no every single time. I've said no.
Why would you want it though?
Offer me like they offered me a bunch of money for it. I'm like, dude, it doesn't. Engine's not. I don't care. Love the color. Definitely want it. I'm like, no, dude, no. I only paid. I think I paid $18,000 or $20,000 for the car.
Don't tell me.
So I'll never be upside down. I don't need to sell it. Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The only thing that sucks is how expensive parts have gotten.
Yeah.
Which for a guy like me, who's just a regular dude, I don't own some multi-conglomerate billion-dollar company. It's becoming very, very difficult to, continue to buy parts for the car because everything's gotten expensive. But it is what it is. Indeed.
Well, Kris, we massively, massively appreciate you taking the time, mate. As I said, we're big, big fans, and it's been amazing sitting here listening to you. It's just been like listening to your podcast, but in my ears, and I'm actually having a conversation with you. So genuinely thrilled that we could have you on the show, mate, and really appreciate
it was my
you
pleasure.
taking the time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Best of luck on the rally. Where can people check you out on socials, etc., if they don't already know?
It's just at Kris Clewell, just at my name is where you find me, and then at Overcrest Productions for the podcast and the rally and everything like that.
Ripper. Love it. Well,
Fantastic.
sir, thank you very much again. And best of luck with all the projects you guys have got on the horizon.
Thank you. Take care, man.
Good on you, man. Thanks.
What a guy.
That was it was like a TED talk. It was so bizarre because in my headphones it was exactly like listening to the podcast, only I was having a conversation with him. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you felt this, but particularly his response around why we organize these rallies and the like. It was just, you could hear the passion he's got for it, and this desire to just share experiences with people. That was super inspiring. They say never meet your heroes. He's definitely someone I look up to and admire. And wow, what a great interview that was. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. I hope everybody did. In fact, I'm sure they did. I feel a little embarrassed to say that as he was talking through that, in terms of discovery and new experiences and sort of, all of the feelings that go with it. I started to tear up a little bit because I find myself, in my 40s here, not wanting to go to dinner with friends and not wanting to go out to the mall. And, I'm just going to stay in my garage and do some wrenching. And then every now and again, I'll go for a drive. I've been driven by adventure a lot of my life, and I hope I'm not losing it because I remember what it was like to first drop down in New York City, and I had sensory overload. I mean, that place freaked me out when I first dropped down in downtown Manhattan, and I was driven by adventure to go to India, in between two school years at university, orienteering with army cadets and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Mountains, roads, lakes, rivers, oceans. For the longest time, that inspired me, and I'm now sat here in my safe little suburban bubble, doing the odd 20-mile rally, quote unquote, with some of my local Porsche mates, and that's just not on the same level that he was talking about. And thinking back to the Rocky Mountain road trip that I did earlier this year, that gives me a taste of that life again. But I get it. It's like I want to start planning another rally right now.
No, 100%.
I want to get out. I want to go and live in the car for the next 6 weeks and just drive.
Yeah, yeah. And if that's Chris's ethos, if that's what he wants to encourage people to experience more, then, like I say, that conversation for me exactly the same. I hate that. So we typically do 2 Alpine Range rallies every year. This year we're only doing the one because we're doing a Tassie trip, which my good pal PJ and Darren are organising, which is amazing. But I miss organising a rally. I actually miss the research. I miss finding new roads, on Google Maps and then cross-referencing them with YouTube from motorbike videos to see if they actually link up to something and all of that stuff. And, last night I just started watching Ewan McGregor's Long Way Up and they're on these electric motorbikes and the experience they're having. And, when I think about the rallies we have, every one of my friends that comes on those rallies always says that it's not, we really try and design them so it is all twisty roads as much as possible. But when you think about it, it's not the act of driving the twisty road. It's when you get to the end of it and you all get out of your cars and you're laughing about, I couldn't keep up with you there, but then you got away from me, and talking about those little things, and you're laughing about it, having a great time. That's what builds the memories. That's what makes the adventure. So, yeah, like you, I'm just, it's made me just desperate to get out and explore and be with friends and take the car, as Kris would say.
Exactly. I mean, how quickly can I ditch you and now go and get in the car and go for a drive? That's what I'm thinking. Well,
why don't you ditch me right now? Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to Curb and Canyon on Apple Podcasts or wherever you hear your podcasts. And if you could leave a review, that would be amazing. Check us out on Instagram and follow us there. And we'll see you. When will we see you, James? Next week?
Same time next week. Take care.
Ripper. See you, gang.